Okay, so welcome on in. This is going to be the first episode of Bar Talk. For those who don't know what Bar Talk is, we're going to be going over events within the community, both streaming and Vtubing, and trying to have a mature conversation between all the noise, chaos, and flames that people love to throw at these kind of topics, right? Who recognizes Akio Air? Let's get that out of the way. Faye, do you recognize them?
I actually didn't know anything about them before all of this came out.
And Leshy, I'm assuming you're in the same boat?
I have never heard of them before.
Exactly, and that's why this is so funny. Because no one cared who they were until right now.
No one cared who I was until I put on the...
So, what ended up happening, to give context for everyone who has no idea what the fuck is going on right now, Akio Air put out audition requests for their new Vtubing team that they're going to be doing, right? And they drew in dozens of, great talent. They had multiple rounds of interviews, and they eventually decided to get Princess Nofi as the first, or as one of the first members of this new generation, right? One of the key issues people are having right now is on Akio Air's audition sheet, they mentioned you must be 18 plus to apply. I believe last document I saw, Nofi is 15.
Oof.
And no one knew Nofi was 15 until they had posted this notice that Nofi identifies as a minor. This is after several this is after they did some promotional material to introduce Nofi to the audience with killer lines like, "Princess, oh hey, Rogue Energy, buy it today."
You are
Akio Air did not say that.
advertising in the middle of... You are not.
That was the timer, not me. That was a timer. But some amazing lines as your favorite, I think they're a frog princess, who has intimate relations with your parents and probably fucked your mom. That is literally the introductory video. I'm not gonna pull it up because I don't want to get, fucking corporate people on my ass about it, right? But pretty much they have this whole document explaining that she identifies as a minor. They've gotten consent from their parents and several other important personnel who are close to her, and that they are asking that you refrain from any VTuber behavior, pretty much. Please respect that they are a minor and do when you are going forward. And they want to protect their talent from the fact that VTubing is very much an adult-based industry for the most part, right? Nofi has done a lot of weird things. They have joked about slavery. I think they confessed about drinking while underaged. They started interacting with several NSFW and adult accounts before it came out that she was a minor. All in all, really a lot of fucked up shit, right? The core complaint that people have, and you two are free to, give your input at this point, is that minors should not be involved in the VTubing community. It is too much an adult-oriented field of entertainment, and especially when you are introducing a minor into a corporate setting and putting them on display as a child actor, pretty much, which we've had around for a very long time. That you are intentionally putting them into a risky and harmful environment that is going to cause them long-term harm and expose them to dangerous situations. Any thoughts so far before I continue?
No, this all sounds about right.
The thing is that also in order to make money on both Twitch and YouTube, their TOS says that you literally have to be 18 plus years of age.
That's true.
And so how they're going, how this is literally child exploitation, because if she's being employed, if all of this stuff going on, being employed with a talent agency, how are they gonna pay her? She cannot make money doing what she does. She is working for them for free, essentially. Any money that they decide to give her will be coming out of their pocket. It won't be made from her streaming. And it's not so much that I think that... Because I feel like there have been a lot of very successful streamers who have not been 18 years of age, but I definitely do think They were not corporate or career streamers, which is a very big distinction because there is a level of professionalism that career streamers are held to that people who are indie or people who are just streaming for fun should not be held to like that same kind of standard. It's the same thing, like we don't expect a certain standard of quality out of indie streamers as we do from corporate streamers, because corporate streamers have more assets, more money, more connections.
They have teams doing their shit for them.
Yeah, exactly. And so when you have an individual who is in a talent agency, part of a corporate team, who is now a professional streamer, there's a degree of professionalism that they are expected to have that a child is physically not capable of maintaining. Not because kids can't be smart, not because kids can't, have like a sense of responsibility, but because children, by nature of being children, have a lot of things that they don't know. They are going to make a lot of impulsive decisions. They're going to make a lot of stupid jokes that they haven't had the time to grow into knowing isn't appropriate. Kids have a very, very shallow and very narrow idea of what is and isn't appropriate. And eventually, they're gonna fuck up. They're going to be a brand risk the entire duration of their streaming career because they are children.
They are children.
And it sounds like they have already begun.
Yeah.
Also, yes, it was actively posted on their sheet that you have to be 18 plus. Some people are suspecting they knew all along that she was 18 and still tried her out anyways, or that it was only revealed after she was accepted on contract. Whatever the fuck case may be, they still went through with permitting a minor to join their team. Here is we'll get into like the biggest hot take that went around our community recently. And I will give my honest opinion. I don't think it's wrong for a minor to try VTubing, right? I think it is just like any other form of content creation. We clown on kids doing TikTok or doing YouTube or being COD streamers, right? But most of our favorite content creators and even some celebrities were making dumb videos when they were 15, right? 14, even 13, right? I don't think it's inherently wrong for them to try VTubing, despite the fact that, for the most part, VTubing does cater more to an adult audience. Not every VTuber does inherently 18 plus content. My channel is marked for 18 plus because I swear a lot, we make some sexual jokes, and I generally don't want to have to yell at a kid and have their mom come on and tell me I'm being mean. This is where we get to the dumb shit. Go ahead.
I am inclined to agree that the nature of being a VTuber isn't exclusively 18 plus, and it shouldn't be. I think that there should be a lot of spaces in which it is, in general, okay for people to exist without encountering not safe for work content, for there to be, more success found among streamers who don't swear, who don't make sexual jokes and stuff like that. I think that there should be a broader audience for that, and that will, of course, include if there are any, any minors and stuff like that. But I do think that they have to be very, very cautious with how they proceed, and they would have to put a lot more effort into protecting her than it is shown that they are capable or willing to do just from the get-go, because of the nature of certain demographics that do dwell within the VTuber community, the interests that they have, and the fact that for some people who may just enjoy her content and it's coincidental that she's a minor, there are some people for whom their interest in her content and her model will be criminal, decidedly criminal, because that is an actual underage girl.
And there are many, many cases in which this is the case, and you do not know who it is until tragedy strikes, unfortunately.
And I think they did not prepare her or did not bear in mind how dangerous that could possibly be, just the circles that she might be introduced to. It would have to be really, really well moderated. They would have to be doing a fantastic job of protecting not only her identity, but who she was exposed to, the people who were able to speak to her one-on-one. They would have to make sure that absolutely nobody who was in proximity to her had the ability to prey on her in any way, which they've already proven they are unable to do.
Both of them and their parents, I want to mention.
Yes.
In a lot of these cases, it is partially the onus on the parents to, make sure that their child is safe. That's a very difficult thing to do when they're a teenager, as this person is. However, they have already shown through their actions that they are interested in getting into the more adult side of VTubing. And neither their parents nor the company seem all that fussed about actually stepping in the way of that, except for right now, which I assume has come after consequences of those actions have risen.
There hasn't been there has been community backlash against, actions she has taken so far, right? And while I agree that people have the right to be upset at some of the actions that she has made, I also do need to, preface, this is a child that has been given a shit ton of money, power, and influence.
Yeah, and crazy how that works.
Crazy how it happens, and crazy when they go insane, crazy that they go crazy.
If I may say, the only upward-looking thing to this in my mind is, unlike common child stars that we've seen in our past as children, being a VTuber of significant note is a very easy thing to put away forever if need be. So long as someone hasn't stalked and doxed you and all that. But if they find themselves in hot water and they need to step back and return to life and touch grass, etc., it is much easier for a VTuber that doesn't have their face shown to put it away and go live their life than it was for Justin Bieber to step away and stop being him.
Yeah, we've had plenty of celebrities who have hit rock bottom in their life and were not given the proper time and space to recover from whatever is going on, because watching our favorite people crash and burn is oddly entertaining. And yes, as some people in chat are mentioning, it is not entirely on her. She is doing what she wants to do. She is trying to be an entertainer, and everyone wants, everyone wants to be famous. Not asterisks. Asterisks, not everyone, but it's easy to say everyone. Some of the what I personally find offending in this notice is that they had a wide variety of content creators, and I don't know if I can bring it up fully, but I will zoom in on the post. Her talent roster arises from her prior involvement in the performing arts with her previous career, coupled with her fervent pursuit of a career akin to acting, renders it incumbent upon us to assert that refusing an opportunity based solely on age constitutes as an unduly harsh, inequitable, and unjust decision. She's 15. How much more experience does she have than anyone else you interview?
Well, I mean, so
crazy.
This brings up a point that I said earlier, is like relating to child stars. It seems that this is very much the sort of career path that either she or her parents wanted to pursue. But again, we have known countless people who have been ruined as people by, performing in this industry as a child in a way that has been exploitative or abusive. And as much security as one has being a VTuber, I don't think that mitigates the risk of the psychological damage that can come from this industry when you have an underdeveloped brain. And people that are taking advantage of that to make profit. And I think this might be a canary in the coal mine in this regard. I don't know that this is necessarily proving anything, but I have my suspicions going forward.
As everyone said, and also Father Mogar brought up the point, I also feel that in VTubing, if we have minors in the space, we also don't want to have the rules and regulations that Hollywood and does, so they're not protected, helped, and nothing to stop exploitation.
That's correct.
Yes, child actors and child entertainers have whole law firms dedicated to making sure that they are still getting to be kids, that they are still working reasonable hours, that they're not being, even just, any social aspect between adults, taking that away, just that the kids themselves are legally protected, getting paid, being treated fairly, etc., etc., etc.
Yes.
I don't know.
In stark contrast, the moderators we have here, which are the sole security measure in streaming, most of them aren't even paid.
Yeah.
Yes.
Who's going to be able to go out of their way to make sure that a child, known or unknown, is being safe in this space? Especially when, by the terms of service of the websites they're using, they probably shouldn't be in the first place.
Exactly.
There are no child labor laws. There are no labor laws in general, like aside from just if you are part of a corporation and stuff, and obviously like those websites themselves have their terms of service. But beyond that, there are no labor laws that prevent people from being exploited, especially children who don't have like the legal autonomy to do all of the things that an adult might be able to do to protect themselves if they were being exploited, or even to detect if they were.
We love it. We love working in the age of the internet, and quite frankly, I don't want the internet to change. I love the internet the way it is. Obviously, there's a lot of stuff, but how I think things need to go going forward, we'll get into next. Does anyone have anything to say before we get into community takes?
I want to mention that there is, maybe not vibrant, but there is a place specifically on YouTube for minors getting involved in VTubing because their rules and moderation standards are different. There is much more of a safe for work community on YouTube streaming than there is on Twitch.
Yeah.
There's always been a more adult space here. I don't know a lot of YouTube streamers to know their thoughts on this, but I do know that there is a higher ratio of children to adults watching streamers over there. And if that is where she is, that is marginally safer than Twitch. But I don't know where she streams. And I don't care that much.
I agree, purely because, and I've talked about this several times on why I don't want to do YouTube streaming. I much rather prefer Twitch streaming, is that YouTube streaming is much more independent. You are able to lock down exactly who they're going to be interacting with, when, why, how, and where. While as Twitch, it is very much built on community and spontaneous interaction and all that kind of stuff. So I enjoy the culture of Twitch, but I recognize the culture of Twitch does not necessarily provide the safest environment for those unaware.
And I think like one thing before we go into community takes that I want to be clear on is that kids are guaranteed to make mistakes. And that's okay. That's how they learn to be people. The enormous problem is that corporate VTubers are held to a standard of professionalism as career streamers, for better or for worse. And there are some mistakes that people won't have the patience to let them make. Some things a kid won't know that they'll have to learn through trial by fire that is so cruel to have to do under public scrutiny the way a professional has to. They'll say and do dumb shit. They'll believe and joke about dumb shit. And while there's a degree of personal responsibility to grow as a human being, it is not normal, natural, or kind to have to do so in the public eye. I personally place a majority of the blame for everything that has ensued on every adult involved, their parents and the people in charge of the talent agency that hired them. I think that they are disgusting people. And I think that they should be ashamed of themselves for even entertaining this happening the way that it has. And I really hope to God someone intervenes on that kid's behalf in a substantial way that is able to actually protect them.
Well, Faye, it's unfortunate that some people disagree with you.
No, don't say that.
So, this tweet blew the fuck up. I know Elboim, I follow them on Twitch. I watched a little bit. They are a D20 little animated dice man, if I recall correctly. And here is their hot take on the whole situation. Everybody's on about a VTuber corpo hiring a minor and how this industry isn't safe for them. But nobody's talking about the ones making this industry unsafe in the first place. Okay, so far, I'm okay with that so far. The amount of VTubers NSFW thirst posting makes us a borderline porn industry, and that's where you lost me. If you're posting porn, understand that this is a public sphere and you're representing yourself as a sex worker. Look at television, big companies, parliaments. Nobody in mainstream media is doing that, but VTubers are horny, so it's okay. It's normalizing sexual harassment. The VTuber community is a magnet for sexually frustrated loners. Okay, that part I kind of agree with. This is not normal, and we should aspire to change that. Let's make this community less lewd, because right now our name is strained with hormones and dick pics, which makes it hard to be proud of being a VTuber. Okay,
good fucking lord.
Earlier this week, I talked about how I do want to grow my content beyond VTubing and reach, a broader audience beyond just the VTubing sphere. Because with dick pics, yes. If you go to my Fansly, you can. My reason being is that yes, VTubing for the most part is a sexualized sphere. Now, when I say the most part, asterisk, it is within my sphere of perception. I'm not aware of VTubing beyond what I can see. Get that out of the way real quick. However, while I agree
parasocial,
that we do need to make sure that the VTubing sphere is safe for as many people as possible, blaming it entirely on one category of VTubers is the absolute wrong way to go about this, right? And we can tab back to this in a moment. But there are 193 quote retweets. A lot of them are saying pretty much the exact same thing.
They got their ass beat in the QRTs for this one, bro. It was bad.
Yeah.
I don't know how many comments there are, but I'm gonna go to Ho Harang, PNG tuber. They have a little. I'm gonna just quickly go to their Tiger Queen. Look at them; they're very pretty. They quote retweeted, and this is probably the more cohesive and understandable and relatable post that I've seen so far. Okay. I'm not going to go entirely into it, but I'll read a few sections. Most NSFW LootTubers do their best to not let minors have access to their content and censor their pics and videos. They are not normalizing sexual harassment. If anything, they're the ones experiencing the most out of everyone in the VTuber community, and it is certainly not their fault. There are IRL OnlyFans fansly influencers on here posting stuff completely uncensored and unbothered if there are minors following them, etc., etc. It is unhinged and unbothered perverts and pedophiles on this platform who interact with said minor. They are the ones to sexualize a child. They are the most likely to make NSFW art. They are the ones to send disgusting DMs, and they are the make the most inappropriate comments and normalize sexual harassment. The VTuber scene isn't safe for minors, especially if hired in a company, because they will be exposed to those preferred people, not because of NSFW lewd VTubers exist.
Yes, fucking preach it.
I understand where Mimic is trying to come from, because it is a general frustration that a lot of people have, right? But it is the exact wrong way to express that frustration, even when they themselves, which I'm not going to pull up the quote retweets because I don't want to get into apparently personal drama, but apparently they were a huge supporter of LootTubers and SW content creators beforehand, and now there's a 180 now that they're trying to, quite frankly, and people are going to call me out for this, this is probably meant for attention, and they got it. Congratulations. I do not think it is a content creator side of things problem. It is very much a how viewers ingest content and how they choose to interact with that content outside of its intended space. That is a problem. I was having this talk with a coworker of mine while at work. Who knows My Little Pony?
I don't want to talk about it.
My Little Pony is intended for children. For the most part, it is marketed towards children. There is an adult community that enjoys the content, and they do make their own adult content for the fandom. As much as I will rag and shit on bronies, at the very least, most of the content that they produce is off the beaten trail. Not hard to find, but it's not going to be on the straight, narrow line that most children would be walking along. As Ho Harang said, you cannot blame content creators for making what they want to make and then getting upset that it exists. If it is ethical content that does not harm anyone, this kind of reaction is not the appropriate one.
I got a weird take to nail on this.
Go for it.
I'm trying to figure out how to word this in the nicest way. I don't know that I can. Everyone already knows this. This is a fact. Teenagers are horny as shit. Mm-hmm. Like, all of them are. Every single teenager that has ever experienced sexual attraction has probably gone on the internet and searched boobs, right?
Yep.
Everyone's done it. Everyone's looked that up. You can't stop that. That is a normal and natural thing for a child to experience, and they can do it over there. The job of either the content creator that is potentially being viewed or anyone who is, being sought out for that purpose, adult or otherwise, only has the responsibility necessarily of putting as many barriers as they care to put up to prevent their stuff from being seen by the unintended audience. For 90% of them, that's going to keep kids away because they're lazy as hell and they don't want to go through work. Mm-hmm. That's partially what paywalls are for.
Yes.
It's also to pay the bills, but it's also to keep children out, right?
Yeah.
Problem
$3.
Is that, yeah, but like it's the onus of the guardians. That's why they're called guardians, to make sure that the child is handling these things in a safe and intelligent way. That is what sex education is for. That's what like basic parenting is for. I'm not going to say that every parent is good. I would say that maybe half of them are.
Mm-hmm.
But that's
half
still
of
their
them
job.
are 30% just do the minimum, and then we don't talk about the remaining. But
Yes.
Yeah.
And with these things in mind, it is painfully obvious who is taking measures to make sure that children can see their not children appropriate shit versus the people who are doing it for themselves. People in the former camp who are making sure that children can see their, in this instance, lewd shit, are people that are probably looking for that and not great people. Let's be real.
Mhm.
To put the onus of all of this on the people who are just enjoying their hobby, doing their job, running their career, whatever, is insane and extremely short-sighted in so many ways. But I think at the end of the day, it is almost entirely coming from an unawareness or opposition to the idea that minors, teenagers in particular, are horny as shit and are gonna try. They're gonna try and squirm their way into places because that's what they do. That's what everyone did. You can't avoid that. They're gonna trickle through. You just got to make sure that you kick them out when you can and try to make sure that they leave with a good enough lesson. Like, hey, don't hurt yourself doing whatever, please.
Okay. Do you have anything you want
But
to say?
everyone forgets that the child has some control and interest in this. Everyone
Yeah.
forgets that a child
they're
has
independent
autonomy.
entities. Yeah.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
like they can't be controlled. They can be guided, but they cannot be controlled. This VTuber would do all of these things on their own. The only difference between now and beforehand is that they have an audience.
Mhm.
Correct.
And that audience is directly related to arguably the negligence of the adults involved.
This is maybe going to sound a little bit targeted and mean, but that's because it kind of is a little bit. This is the same problem that you see with a lot of like conservative grifters who they'll post screenshots of their Instagram feed. And they'll be like, is this what society has come to? Is this what we're posting on the internet now? Forgetting completely that a lot of these social media websites are incredibly algorithmic. They will send you recommendations depending on what you interact with. And not to delve too deeply into a lot of the things that have already been posted in the comments and in the replies and the tweets of that particular person's hot take. It is very clear that a lot of the reason why he sees a lot of sexual content is because he interacts with it.
Yeah.
It is up to the individual person to curate their online experience. We're not even talking about children right now. We're talking about grown adults who have the full capacity to block people, to mute certain words, to only follow certain content creators that post and conduct themselves in a certain way. Because absolutely, if what you want to interact with is safe for work streamers or people who don't make a lot of sexual content, not a lot of sexual jokes, people who don't post illicit or like lewd images on any of their social media like presences and stuff like that, that is, and I cannot stress this enough, completely 100% okay. There is no stigma about it. There is zero stigma, and there shouldn't be, because people who want to create content and interact with content in a specific sphere have every right to do so in a way that is comfortable for them. And if you do not want to interact with lewd content, no one should stop you. No one should judge you. No one should tell you that you're not allowed to do so, because that's just the way that it goes. You have to curate your online experience. But at the same time, you have to bear in mind, sex workers and people who post sexual content do not have it easy.
No.
Their route of going about things is not easier than yours. It has a different set of problems. It has a different set of complications. And to you, it may seem like they get a lot of like attention and a lot of like applause and stuff like that for what to you strikes as like being very little effort. You do not see the stuff that goes on behind the scenes. You do not see the stigma that falls behind it. You do not see the sheer amount of interpersonal harassment that they might receive by nature being sex workers. And so to claim, this is also not touching on something that I personally have had frustration for with some time, which is blaming content creators for being sexual feels deeply unfair when a lot of what people interact with in the community in terms of just pure consumers, we're not talking about other streamers, we're talking about pure consumers, what they interact with best
hi,
and
chat.
most often. Hello. What they interact with best and most often is lewd
Gonna shorten
content.
the timer.
And so to blame the individual content creator feels very unfair because a lot of them are just getting their bag. Like, a lot of them are just getting their bag, and so many of them, more than I have seen, not. At least in terms of people who make their presence in general not safe for work, are so careful about making sure that they are making their own space and curating that for other people, and blaming them for people who may have potentially abused it or may potentially abuse it is really, really selfish and fucked up and stupid. A lot of his complaints could be easily solved by just not interacting with people who don't post not safe for work.
Or if he wants to, which he clearly used to, which is fine and normal, speaking to the person creating this content as a person rather than as a source of content.
True.
Because I think in a lot of ways, there are people who consume this content and then rage against it because they do not see sex workers or, related professions as people necessarily.
Nope.
It is very much a case of losing sight on what is actually going on, right?
Yes.
Yes.
Supposing that this doesn't happen in normal, jobs, other sorts of Hollywood and
Yes.
entertainment industry, patently incorrect. Everyone participates in this sex trade in some form.
In fact, it is still an issue in modern day child actors that there are still many cases of pedophilia and grooming and all that kind of stuff that does go on for many of the children in the entertainment industry. It is unfortunately just a danger that we face putting kids into these spotlights where that are mainly an adult-based industry. Like, no matter how you like, entertainment is typically an adult-based industry, safe for work or not. As you mentioned, there are the cases of they used to be a supporter of NSFW content, as many people pointed out. And then
Everybody
at round
loves a
tables, everyone loves boob, everyone loves ass, hips, whatever you prefer. And then this one weird 180 occurs. I myself, as literally previously in this video and earlier this week mentioned, yes, I am little too uncomfortable with how NSFW a lot of work is. But I admit that is also kind of on me. For the majority of my time as a content creator, I've never really stopped anyone from producing the content they want. I want to get to know content creators, and I have supported my friends in whatever ventures they want to go into, including those of sex work. And it is very much a case of you can't get mad at people then for when you engage in their content for then seeing this content. Like, it is absurd. It is short-sighted, as Faye said. And I really think that Ho-Harang and many others put it as best they could. It is if you want to see less, and you as well, Faye, if you want to see less, just stop interacting with it, right? Faye, do you have anything to add to that sound like a heavy You are fine.
I just think that it's more common and more exhausting. And speaking from a demographic of both someone who does sex work and someone who is gay, you would be shocked how many people will interact with content in a lewd manner while simultaneously vilifying or decrying those very same demographics, because it's all about the double standard of what makes them appear to be the most moral.
Yes.
They don't actually have as strong of standards or morals as they claim to be, because there are so many people. There's a reason why there is a stereotype about certain individuals who will treat you a certain way to your face or in public, but in private have a very different attitude towards you, because a lot of it just boils down to what other people think of them. Man, I just think, as a gay dude, my perspective isn't everything, but as a gay dude and also someone who's like genderqueer, I fall under the trans umbrella, which means that I also have to deal with a similar sort of treatment for that demographic as well. A lot of the people who are the most vocal being against stuff like this are the biggest hypocrites. Do not trust them. Do not trust what they have to say. Do not trust their, like, the way that they say it. Don't trust the standards that they hold other people to, that they don't hold to themselves, because at the end of the day, they are all about the fuck you got mine mentality.
Yep. So overall, I think, how to put it, as you said, it is very much a double standard. And also, it reminds me a little bit of the Salem witch trials, and one of the favorite articles I read in regards to it, that the odds was that a lot of them were just fucking each other and didn't want to believe that they were just being whores. And it's like, no, she's a witch, she charmed me. It's not who I am.
So true. I think about this one Tumblr post all the time where it was like, oh, we have to burn her as a witch. I saw her at the Devil's Sacrament. And like, girl, what were you doing at the Devil's Sacrament?
Damn, we all getting turned up around the Devil's Circle tonight. Hey, the fuck were you doing at the Devil's Circle last night? What were you doing at the Devil's Circle?
What were you doing at the Devil's Circle last night?
It's like someone trying to tell on their mom before someone else tells on their mom. Like,
oh my god, dude, it's so stupid.
Yeah, it's so stupid. But I think, I don't know, this brought up a lot of comments and a lot of, Mimic, I'm not going to support their point. Like, I do not agree with the overall message that's trying to be presented here. As I mentioned at the start, I do think that we should be able to accept minors into VTubing. Not only because, again, content creation is content creation, and we want to give everyone a chance to be the star they wish to be, but also it is a case, and we talked about this a little bit before, not on video but on another stream, of supporting gender dysphoria within trans kids, being able to express who they are, being able to interact with the communities that will support who they are. There are a lot of upsides to being a part of this community, and I don't want to lock that away for the percentage of individuals that is going to harm others. But I do agree that if we are going to begin making VTubing more accessible to minors, at least on a public stage, there needs to be healthy and safe barriers to keep what's the bard way to put this? The undesirables and the untouchables away from.
I don't know. That is the most you way you could possibly word that.
No, I don't know if that is, but we try. We try to stay in character, Faye. Come on now, don't take me. Look, okay, I'm improving everything I do.
This is the in character stream.
No, honestly, I might never. Have I ever done an in-character stream, now that I think about it?
I mean, you've done in-character content.
True. Yeah?
I think very few people do, like, a full in-character stream unless you wanted to, like, fully dictate your life to working at, like, the tiefling, I don't know, like, level 9 spell-making zone, if we want to call it that.
I'm only level 16. I only got 8.
Yeah, but you're working on making 9th and 10th level spells, man.
No, my immersion. Hey, Lily, welcome on in. And Liliana, welcome on in. Don't worry, this little bit's probably gonna cut out. Don't worry about it.
Yeah, it's fine. I could say anything right now, and it would
get
cut out of the video.
Yeah, it's gonna cut.
Dicks.
Go. Dicks? Yeah.
Love penis. Want more of that in the VTuber community. Can we get more of that?
Hey, serious, can you leave that in the video? Much appreciated.
Serious, I love you. Isn't a redhead?
No, I'm actually brunette.
Sorry that we lied to you. Sorry, I got parasocial for a second there.
So honestly, I understand. God, I would love to pull up some more quote receipts, but there were some that I'm not going to give attention to, because, as I said, this is meant to be a educational discussion. I want people to walk away from this knowing more about themselves, knowing more about the industry, being able to grow and develop as people. We don't all have to agree all the fucking time. I'll say this about Mimic. Yeah, this is probably rage bait, but it opened the conversation, and that is the only reason I'm going. That's the only reason I'm addressing the original tweet, is because it opened the conversation. Butts for the butt throne, honestly.
Butts for the butt throne.
Faye, do you have anything you want to add on?
I don't know. Just the same vibe that I've had, which is that like, and I think this sort of ties into like what Leshy was saying and what you were saying, which is that like, I think that the fact that there is a steadily declining amount of safe spaces in which you can be a child both online and in real life is dangerous. I think that kids should not be barred from every space. I'm not one of those individuals who is like, oh, don't bring your kids out in public, don't take your kids on trains, like I don't want to deal with them. I personally, like, I don't hate children. I think I would be okay with having one myself someday. Like, I really do.
Oh, I hate children. I will never have a child.
See, and I just don't agree with that. But at the same time, an enormous problem and why it is so unsafe for kids to be in those spaces, not only because of the monetization and, you know, the increased like crackdown on like loitering laws and stuff like that, but also because kids need places where they can be kids without the interference of adults who would exploit them for their own gain.
Mm-hmm.
Because I think kids absolutely do have like, they do have hormones, they have impulses, they have things that they want to do. And I think that they do need a space in order to do that for healthy development. The problem is that they need to be able to do so in a way where they will not be exposed to the whims and desires of adults, because there are some sick motherfucking people out there who are going to use that against them and for their own gain. That is child exploitation, and that is a lot of what you're seeing when you see kids placed in these inappropriate scenarios. Is it's usually adults that want something from them or want to use them for something, and they are preying on the fact that they have no legal autonomy and they don't know any better.
Mm-hmm. It is dangerous. We are growing into the age where kids are being forced out of everything, like literally everything. You know, I joked about it earlier, My Little Pony, but again, my little sister was 12 at the time when I walked past her computer and she accidentally clicked on an image that wasn't meant to be there. Like it's not healthy. They need to grow. We as a society need to facilitate spaces for children to grow. And this isn't even just an American-centric issue. This is a like global issue that almost every country is facing.
Like, it's okay to hate kids. You don't have to like kids.
But
I think that we should collectively agree on endangering them is also not good. And pushing them out of every space that could possibly be available for them is really, really bad, because they are our most vulnerable members of society.
It's why
they are vulnerable.
It's why I like the play places and, you know, the arcades and all that kind of stuff. Because I know where the kids are and I know where not to be. Because I don't want to see them. But they can go there and have fun and be themselves. And I don't have to see them. Like, it's a win-win for both. Like, why can't we do that more often?
Yeah.
But how am I supposed to clean between the gears of my sweatshop? Look. Listen.
They fit behind there so well.
I think that's everything we have to say. Thank you for watching this bar talk. Faye, thank you for joining me on this. All of you have fun. Check out my Twitch. Check out the rest of my content. I make music, all that kind of stuff. You can find the links down below. And I'll see you next time. Up, up, up.